Hey guys, tonight we wander into the golden hush of a forgotten realm, a land of shifting dunes, breathless sun, and myths too old for ink or parchment. We're going to Simonaric, the desert kingdom carved not from stone, but from wind and reverence. The story will lead you to sleep without knowing it. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here, and I'd love to know where and when you're listening from. Just drop it in the comments below. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You stand at the edge of the desert as night begins to fold into dawn. There's no road, no gate, no marker, only wind curling over ancient sand. Yet something calls. It isn't a voice exactly, but the hush of presence. The desert remembering your name before you speak it. The sky above is wide and stained in lavender, pierced by the final stars before morning. You don't move right away. Instead, you close your eyes and breathe. Deeply, slowly. The sand is cool beneath your feet, worn smooth as silk by centuries of wind. And the wind sings. Not like a storm or a howl, but like a whisper passed from mouth to mouth, story to story. You can almost make out syllables in it, not your language, not any known one, but somehow you understand. It says, "Welcome back." You begin walking. Your footsteps press into the dunes and vanish moments later, erased by a world that does not hold on, yet never forgets. The deeper you go, the less you remember why you came. Not because memory fades here, but because purpose becomes presence. A small dune shifts beside you, revealing a shard of glass. Not man-made, not broken, formed by lightning that once kissed the desert in rage. You touch it. It's warm. Above, a hawk circles silently. Below, the sand murmurs names you don't yet know how to pronounce. Even silence has weight in a place like this. You continue, following a ridge that curves like a sleeping serpent. There's a scent on the wind now, dry flowers and burned cedar. It carries you toward a low hill marbled with bone-colored stone. Something inside you knows. This is where the story begins. You pause, feeling the pull, not of gravity, but of memory, as though the ground itself remembers who you used to be. And perhaps you do too. The stars above you blink like the eyes of forgotten gods. Your fingers graze a standing stone near the hill's peak. Symbols are etched into its face. Spirals, crescent lines, and something like an eye, or maybe a seed. It hums faintly beneath your touch, a whisper again, this time clearer. The wind says, "Not all gods are lost. Some are only waiting." You sit there for a moment, the wind wrapping around you like a shawl of memory. The world slows, breath deepens, time begins to melt, and in the distance, a dune shifts once more, this time shaped like a doorway. You approach the dune that isn't a dune. Its slope is too precise, its curve too deliberate, like it was formed by hands rather than wind. As you step closer, you notice small stones at its base, arranged in a perfect spiral, half buried, half revealed. They catch the low sun like scattered stars. You pause again. The air is warmer here. Not the heat of day, but something deeper, like the breath of something old waiting just beneath the surface. Your fingers find the edge of the spiral and trace it, feeling the grains of centuries slide beneath your touch. As your hand completes the curve, a tremble runs through the earth. The dune exhales. Slowly, softly, the center opens. A staircase is revealed. Not made of stone, but of tightly packed glass sand, shaped by ritual and time. You descend without thinking, as though your body remembers a rhythm your mind does not. The air inside is still and expectant. A faint glow pulses along the walls. Blue, then amber, then nothing. You walk deeper. Here, the quiet is immense. It's not empty. It's full. Full of everything unspoken. Regret. Prayer. Longing. You enter a chamber carved by worship, not tools. The walls are etched with looping lines, not symbols, but sensations. You run your hand along one and feel warmth, sorrow, hope, like touching a memory still alive in the rock. There is no statue, no icon, just a hollow niche where offerings once lay. Scorched petals, blackened bone, feathers, a cup turned upside down. You kneel, not from duty, but gravity. The space demands softness. Then the whisper returns, not from the wind, but from within you. You hear, this place knew you, and in that moment, you do remember something. Not a scene or a face, but a feeling. Belonging without being named. Like coming home to a house built from your own heartbeat. The sand below your knees stirs. A single jackal-shaped figurine rises. Glass black, eyes cloudy. It faces you, unmoving. Its mouth opens without opening, and what you hear isn't speech. It's the echo of reverence. A name floats just beyond your mind's reach. It tingles behind your teeth. You try to speak it, but it's not time yet. Instead, you bow, and the chamber exhales, releasing a hush that smells of frankincense and lightning. Above you, the ceiling pulses once. A faint breeze circles. You're not alone, but you are not afraid. You step back into the spiral and ascend. Slower this time. The wind greets you as you rise. Cooler now, almost curious. Perhaps memory is just another kind of mirage. Shimmering, unreachable. But here, in the breath of Simonaric, it feels real. And the god you almost remembered is watching still. The sun is higher now, but the light feels distant, filtered through layers of memory and myth. As you walk beyond the spiral dune, the sand flattens into a wide plain. Its surface shimmers with pale golden dust, disturbed only by the soft wind and the quiet rhythm of your steps. And there, near the horizon, something juts from the sand. Half buried, angular, resisting the smooth erosion of time. You approach. It's a shrine, or what remains of one. The structure is low and square, carved from blackened stone, sun-split and worn by countless seasons. No roof remains. Only 3 walls, 2 upright, 1 crumbled, and a raised platform at the center, scattered with bones and dried husks of what might have been offerings. You pause at its edge, unsure if stepping inside would be trespass or return. But the shrine welcomes you with silence. You cross the threshold. It's cooler here, though there's no shade. A breeze swirls only within the walls, looping around your ankles like a cat remembering your scent. The stones hum with old heat, not threatening but heavy with watching. Atop the platform sits a figure, not alive, not quite stone, a jackal. Its eyes are glass, its paws cracked, but it doesn't seem broken. It seems waiting. The jackal is curled in repose, mouth open slightly as if it had once spoken prayers it now expects you to finish. You kneel without choosing to. In the air hangs the scent of something ancient. Burned cinnamon, myrrh, dried citrus. A scent from a world where gods walked among us, and every breeze carried a blessing or a warning. Your hand brushes against the platform. It's warm. Sun-warmed, yes, but more than that. Pulse-warmed. Memory-warmed. You rest your palm there. A vibration travels up your arm, and suddenly the shrine speaks, not with words, but with images. Not images you see, but feel. A circle of robed figures, a blade of bone passed hand to hand, a child whose eyes never blinked, a god with no temple, only footsteps in flame. You flinch, but do not pull away. The jackal seems to nod. A thought forms. Not yours, but one placed gently in your mind. Even forgotten gods remember being loved. The bones scattered across the platform begin to stir. Not from life, but from purpose. They form a ring around the jackal, then collapse again into the sand, their gesture made. You reach forward and place your hand on the jackal's brow. Its glass eyes close. A moment passes. A moment lingers. Then the wind outside the shrine shifts direction. You rise, slower this time. Something has changed, not in the world, but in you. You are seen, and now you begin to see. In the distance, another dune shivers, tall and sharp, like the tip of a buried mountain. But between here and there lies a pale stretch of salt, cracked earth. You walk on, and with every step, you carry something you didn't before. Not a relic, not a blessing, not a truth, but the memory of devotion. The stars above you blink like the god's heartbeat returning to form. The salt plain is wide and silent, an alabaster sea stretching endlessly in every direction. No vegetation, no footprints, just fractured patterns on the ground, like scales of some enormous desert beast slumbering beneath the crust. You step carefully. Each footfall leaves no mark, as if the land refuses to acknowledge your presence. But you know better. This is the way of Simonaric. The sacred does not announce itself. It waits. The air here is sharper. The wind whistles across the cracked salt, echoing in ways that don't make sense. Sometimes the pitch changes when you breathe. Sometimes it mimics your footsteps after you stop. Ahead, something glimmers. Not bright, not golden, just a shimmer, like the last edge of a memory. It is a pool, or it was. You approach what was once an oasis. The stone rim remains, half submerged in the salt, and a few broken columns lean drunkenly around it. The basin is dry, its bottom lined with sand as fine as dust, and 3 faded handprints pressed into the center. You crouch. Your fingers reach toward the dry pool, tracing the marks without touching. The handprints are different sizes: adult, child, elder, and you wonder if they were left together or across lifetimes. The air is warmer again. Not just heat, a presence. You feel watched. Not in fear, but with the quiet attention of something vast and patient. You close your eyes, and the pool fills, not with water, but with vision. You see the same oasis, full to the brim. Palm fronds overhead, dragonflies flickering like sun-caught jewels. Laughter. Song. Then the sound of silence. Sharp. Sudden, a figure stands at the water's edge. It is cloaked in white, face hidden behind a veil of woven reeds. It reaches into the pool and pulls forth a flame. Not a torch, not fire, but flame shaped like a hand. It lifts the flame, and the water turns to wind. Then the vision shatters. You open your eyes. The pool is dry again, but the air carries new weight. Fragrant, electric. You stand, and something shifts beneath your feet. A stone tilts, revealing a carved groove beneath the basin. You kneel again and brush away the sand. A symbol, a spiral, ringed with tears, not drawn with hands, drawn with intention. You place your palm over it, and from deep within the stone, a voice, neither male nor female, neither old nor young, whispers, "Water is memory made liquid, but wind is memory set free." You step back, the words heavy on your breath. The dry pool is silent now. But it is not empty. It is remembering. And so are you. As you turn to leave, the wind shifts again. It carries a name, but not yours. A name you do not know, and yet feel like you once wore. The wind repeats it, softly, almost shyly, and the salt beneath your feet begins to hum, not with music, with knowing. Even the sky above seems to pause, as though listening. You step off the cracked plain and into the next stretch of dunes. The horizon shivers slightly, like a page turning. Somewhere ahead, a presence waits. But first, You must pass through the god who waits without worship. The dunes rise once more, steeper here, as though the land itself wishes to keep something hidden. Your legs move slower. The sand clings like memory, unshakable, sacred. The wind has gone quiet now, as if watching. Your eyes follow a trail of faint markings, small crescent-shaped ridges in the sand, too evenly spaced for nature, too worn to be fresh. Footprints of something that walks alone. You crest the dune and see it, a hollow carved into the side of a red cliff. Shadowed, silent, sunlit only at its lip. You make your way down carefully, feeling each step like a held breath. At the entrance waits a stone, round and smooth, flecked with mica. You touch it, and it pulses once, faintly, like a drum beat heard through water. You step inside. The air is cool, still, sacred. Light filters down through a narrow shaft above, scattering across the walls in spirals. The stone underfoot feels older than time, but it welcomes your weight. This is not a tomb. This is a waiting room. At the back of the chamber is a figure, not statue, not human, something between, a form etched into the very wall, arms outstretched, palms upturned, face blank, a mask of possibility. No eyes, no mouth, only suggestion. You stand before it and kneel. There is no prayer, only listening. The silence here has texture. It grazes your skin like velvet and dust. You feel it settle behind your eyes. A pressure, a presence, and then, without movement, without sound, the figure speaks, not in voice but in gravity. You feel what it is. A god once known, now forgotten. A god whose worship ended not in rebellion, but in silence. A god without myths, only memories folded into the land. It shows you its name, but only as a feeling. The warmth of sun through linen. The ache of goodbye. The shiver before sleep. No syllables, no language. You lower your head. A single grain of sand drifts from the ceiling and lands on your shoulder. And somehow you understand. You are seen. The god does not demand. It does not bless. It simply is. A presence like dusk, like truth. Then it offers you something, a choice. Before you appears a small bowl, carved from petrified resin. It glows faintly from within. Inside, nothing. Yet you know, this is a vessel for memory, yours. You breathe once, slowly. Then, with both hands, you lift the bowl and exhale into it. Thoughts you didn't know you still carried fall into its depths. The time you were left behind, the word you never said, the face you still see when you dream, all of it, laid gently in silence. The bowl dims. You set it down, empty, full. The figure withdraws, not in motion, but in feeling. The presence lessens as though nodding. You rise. and as you leave the chamber, the wind returns, soft and slow. It brushes your cheek like a parent's hand. Outside, the dune you descended is gone. The land has shifted, but the god remains. And now, so do you. You wander again, but this time you don't feel lost. The dunes part before you like old friends making space, and your feet find their rhythm more easily. The sky above shifts from hard sapphire to gentle bronze, and every breeze carries something like music. Except it doesn't come from air. It comes from stone. Ahead you see them, stones, dozens of them, standing at uneven intervals across a low plateau of cracked slate. They vary in shape and size, some smooth as river pebbles, others jagged like lightning frozen in place. But they share one thing. Every surface is carved with grooves. Thin, elegant grooves spiraling around and around, too delicate for erosion to have preserved. You step closer, and you hear them. The stones hum, not all at once, not in chorus, but in conversation. The nearest one emits a deep, slow tone, like breath through a hollow reed. The one beside it offers something higher, sharper, more urgent. The farther ones chime in their own time, their own tempo. It's not a song, it's a memory. You kneel beside the tallest stone and place your palm against it. The hum vibrates through your bones. And then, words, not yours, fill your head. I was the first to sing of him. It's not a voice, but a presence. The memory of someone long gone. A priest, you think, or something close. You listen. I sang when the dunes were trees. I sang his name into fire. I carved these stones so the desert would never forget the sound. You glance around, each stone a syllable, each line a note in a hymn long silent. You move to another stone. Place your hand there. He came not in storms, but in the stillness that follows. We wore feathers when we spoke to him, not for flight, for gentleness. You walk among the stones slowly, touching one after another. Some remember joy. Others carry grief so old it feels like sand pressing against your chest. One stone, almost buried, whispers, "He left us not in anger but in silence." We stopped listening before he stopped speaking. You pause there a long while. The wind sighs through the plateau, and the stones answer. Not louder, not clearer, but deeper. Then you find the smallest stone, no taller than your knee, untouched by wind. No grooves visible. You reach for it, and the moment your fingers graze its surface, it sings. A note so soft, so low, it feels like it comes from inside your ribs. You don't know the note, but your bones do. Your breath catches. Your eyes blur. This stone was yours. You don't remember carving it, but you know what it holds. You press your forehead to it, and you hear your own voice, young and full of reverence. I will remember you, even when I forget myself. The sound fades. You sit among the stones until the light grows longer, and gold spills across the horizon. Then, slowly, You rise, and the humming quiets, not ending but waiting. As you walk onward, the desert seems to lean in, listening, and your heart beats with the rhythm of something older than grief, something like devotion. The sky deepens into a lavender dusk as you leave the plateau behind. The wind picks up, not fierce, not cruel, but expectant. It tugs lightly at your clothes, nudges at your feet, as though guiding you now. In the distance, you see something strange. A circle of standing stones arranged not around an altar, but around a silence. In their center, the sand is unnaturally smooth, undisturbed despite the breeze. You walk toward it, slower now. Something about the stillness invites care. You pass between the stones. Immediately, the world hushes. The wind falls away. The sky, though darkening, seems to hold its breath. Here, inside the circle, you hear nothing but your own heartbeat. And then, not sound, but presence. You're not alone. A figure sits at the center of the circle. A woman, perhaps. Her shape is fluid, veiled in fabrics that seem spun from moonlight and smoke. Her face is hidden, her posture still. You feel no threat, but you also feel tested. You sit opposite her, legs folded. She does not move, nor do you. The silence between you grows thicker, more alive, and then your own thoughts turn strange, not dreamlike, clear, sharpened, as if the hush around you burns away distraction. You think of choices you never made, of the path you didn't take, of the person you almost became. Images fill your mind, a house beside a lake, a voice calling your name in laughter, a face, yours but different. The woman tilts her head slowly, still not speaking. The wind returns, just a whisper, carrying a single word. Stay. But then another word follows. Go. You realize now, this is not a place for answers. This is the Salt Wind Oracle's trial. A place where the silence tests not what you know, but who you are when no one watches. And in this silence, something opens. A memory, or maybe a truth. You once stood in this circle before, not in this body, not in this lifetime, but your spirit remembers. You close your eyes, you breathe deeply, and the silence begins to sing. Not in melody, but in motion. A warmth at your spine, a coolness in your palms. You feel yourself changing, not into someone new, but into more of yourself. The woman stands. Her movements are slow, deliberate, like water finding its course. She walks past you and disappears beyond the stone circle without a single sound. And yet you hear her clearly. Not every life must be lived to leave its mark. You remain seated. You do not speak. The circle holds your silence like a chalice, and in return, it leaves you with stillness, the kind that heals. You rise, not hurried, not heavy. The wind greets you again, gentle and playful, as though satisfied. And beyond the stones, the desert opens once more. You walk into twilight, carrying no answers, only quiet. And sometimes that is enough. the twilight lingers longer than it should, as if the sun, too, is reluctant to leave this place. The dunes slope gently now, leading you into a wide valley where the sky opens like a cathedral. There is no roof, no dome, only stars beginning to show their faces, tentative and watchful. You see it just ahead, a structure unlike the rest, a temple, but one with no roof, no doors, and no walls to protect it. Only pillars, tall, dark, carved from some kind of glowing basalt. They rise in spiraled pairs, reaching skyward as if in prayer. You step between them. The ground is hard beneath you, etched with lines like starlight trapped in stone. You pause at the threshold, not because of fear, because of reverence, and then something strange. You begin to remember, not your memories, theirs. A people once stood here, tall, robed, faces painted with moon milk and ash. Their language was gesture, their faith silent. They spoke only during storms. They sang only when the stars aligned. You walk slowly through the pillars. Every few steps, a scene floods your mind. A child with a sky-shaped scar, a woman releasing a dove made of fire, a man who fasted until he became light. They worshipped not from fear, but from knowing. They knew the God who lived here, not as form, but as memory, wind, and resonance. The God had no throne, no idol, only story. And when that story faded, the temple was left open to the stars, so they could remember when the people forgot. You place your hand on a pillar. It vibrates gently, like breath. The whisper returns. He was exiled not for sin, but for mercy. You pause. The stars above you blink like tears held back by the sky. You realize, this is where it happened. The sundering. The moment when the god chose silence rather than strike. When he let the people leave, let himself be erased, not in punishment, in love. You sit beneath the tallest pillar. A bird glides overhead, black feathers silvered by starlight. You don't know how long you stay there. The air is gentle. The world feels slowed. Each breath is wide, spacious. The temple says nothing more. But you feel full, as though you've been fed not food, but story. And when you finally rise, you carry the shape of that God inside you, not as knowledge, but as rhythm. As memory returned to motion, you leave the temple with no roof, and the stars begin to brighten. No longer just observers, but companions. You feel their gentle pull as you walk, like threads woven into your breath. The dunes grow quieter again, not from lack of life, but because something else takes up the silence now. Memory has settled around you like a second skin. Then you hear it, drums, faint, deep, rhythmic, not beating against your ears, but inside your chest. You follow the sound. A soft basin opens ahead, framed by rocks worn into crescent shapes. Sand pours over the ledges like smoke, and in the center, an amphitheater half swallowed by time. You step down into it, following ancient stairs carved from the earth. The drums grow louder, then movement, figures, not quite shadows, not quite ghosts, dancers. They sway and leap, fluid and precise, wearing garments of wind and ash. Their faces are covered with veils made of feathers, their fingers painted in gold dust. They do not see you. Or maybe they do, but you are part of the ritual now. They move in circles, never crossing each other's paths. The dance is mesmerizing. Each step seems woven into the fabric of time itself. You sit in the lowest row, breath shallow, and you begin to understand. They are dancing the story of the forgotten god. Each motion is a stanza, each turn a verse. You watch a dancer raise her arms to the stars, trembling. Another kneels and scatters something invisible across the sand. A third spins in place until her veil becomes a blur of light. There is sorrow here, but also devotion, and something else, hope. You close your eyes. The drums echo in your bones. You can feel the beat like a second heart. And in that moment, one dancer approaches, silent, graceful. Their steps are slow, deliberate. They kneel before you and lift your hand. Without words, they guide you into the circle. You do not resist. You dance, not perfectly, not smoothly, but honestly. The moment your feet match the rhythm, something shifts. The dancers shimmer. The amphitheater glows faintly around the edges, as if lit from within by story. And above, the stars pulse in time. The wind carries one phrase to your ear. You never stopped remembering, even when you forgot. When the dance ends, there is no applause, no bow, only stillness. The dancers vanish, one by one, like embers rising into the sky. You are alone again, but you are no longer just a witness. You have become part of the myth. You step out of the amphitheater, leaving no footprints, only presence. And in the dunes beyond, a new path waits. The air is cooler now, not cold, but crisp, as if the night has begun breathing deeply. Each inhale tastes of ash and myrrh, each exhale wrapped in silence. The sand feels softer beneath your feet, as though it's learned to cradle rather than resist you. You follow the path forward, guided not by sight, but by sensation. And then, nestled between two leaning columns of red stone, you see it, a pedestal, short, wide, shaped like a hand reaching up. Upon it rests something delicate, a mask. You step closer. It is feathered, part bird, part flame. Iridescent in the moonlight, its surface seems to ripple between copper, black, and crimson. Not crafted, grown. You do not need to be told what it is. The mask of offering, once it would have been worn by priests and dancers, seers and whisperers. A bridge between the people and the forgotten god. You remember this, not through words, but through your heartbeat. The mask waits. You lift it slowly. It is lighter than it should be, as though made of breath. yet it hums in your hands. Power, memory, reverence. You bring it to your face. The moment it touches your skin, the world narrows, not darkens, focuses. Sound becomes rich and distant, like hearing through water. Your breath changes tempo, and your thoughts are no longer yours alone. You see flashes, not visions, but lives. A hand reaching toward the sun. A scream that turns into a hymn. A name whispered so gently. Even the wind weeps. And above all, a presence. The God is near, not in form, in feeling. The mask warms. And then you speak. But the voice is not yours. It is older, rounder, gentle, but vast. You say a name. You do not know what it means. But the air listens. The sand listens. And so do you. Your body remains still, but your spirit moves. Through time, through desert, through memory, through ritual long buried by wind, and then silence. The mask cools. You remove it slowly. You feel different. Your voice is quiet now, not because of fear, but because you understand. It is no longer yours alone. You place the mask back on the pedestal, but it glows faintly still, as if your touch left an echo. The sky is fully dark now, but the stars are wide awake, and somewhere ahead, the forgotten city rises. Half buried, half remembered, waiting, you walk toward the forgotten city. The sand grows rougher here, mixed with stone fragments and shards of pottery. The wind is slower, heavier, filled with a kind of breathless anticipation, and then, rising from the earth like bones too ancient to bury, the city appears. Half-buried arches, sunken towers, walls that lean and whisper. This was not a city that crumbled. It was folded into the sand, deliberately. You pass under a broken archway. A symbol is etched above it. A circle within a square, crossed by a single line. You feel it in your chest before you recognize it. The mark of the choosing. A long, empty road stretches inward. Columns line its path, each one carved with scenes of life. Markets, music, faces. But the faces, all turned away, as if ashamed. You walk slowly. In the center of the city lies a plaza paved with sunstone. Beneath your feet, the tiles are warm, not from the day's heat, from something older. At the plaza's heart is a well, shallow, dry. Its rim is covered in smooth metal glyphs, now tarnished. You run your hand over them. Regret, offering, silence. This was once the place of return. The center where the god was honored, where names were shared with the wind and offerings poured not from fear, but from remembrance. You kneel beside the well and lower your head, and the ground answers you, a voice not spoken, but pressed into your thoughts. They turned away not because they were abandoned, but because they chose forgetting over forgiveness. A gust stirs the dust around the plaza. The glyphs shimmer, then still. You look up. A mural covers one entire wall of the broken temple ahead. It shows a figure, arms open, surrounded by circles of people walking away. Their faces blurred, their hands empty. The figure does not chase them. The figure kneels. This was the day the city fell into silence. Not by destruction, but by choice. You walk closer. At the base of the mural, a bench. Stone and smooth, worn by centuries of waiting. You sit and you listen, not for sound, for sorrow. It's there, layered into the stone, folded into the cracks. A sorrow not of punishment, but of patience. The god never left. They simply waited, and still wait. You breathe in the city's air. It smells like salt and saffron, like the ghost of a feast left uneaten. And you wonder, how often do we choose forgetting? Because it is easier than healing. You rise, and somewhere deep inside, something rises with you. Not joy, not grief, but readiness. You leave the plaza behind. The city says nothing, but the stars above burn brighter. They have witnessed this story before, and now they witness you. The stars have shifted overhead, not gradually, not like a passing hour, but suddenly, as if the sky blinked and opened its eyes in a different era. You walk beyond the forgotten city, where the dunes rise again like waves nearing their crest. The air here is thinner, charged, trembling with something unspoken. Then you see it, a crater, wide, perfectly round, rimmed with scorched glass and fragments of fused stone. No wind touches its center. No stars reflect within. This is not an accident. This is the scar of divinity. You descend carefully, every step echoing deeper than it should. The ground here remembers, and the silence is not emptiness. It is reverence. At the center lies a single stone slab, smooth, unbroken, inscribed with nothing, and yet, as you approach, it begins to glow, not with heat, with stillness. You kneel beside it, and the sky holds its breath. A memory unfolds, not from you, but around you. Once, long ago, the people gathered here, pilgrims from the dunes, priests with sand-colored eyes, children who had never spoken a lie. They came to ask for something, to beg, to plead, for the god to intervene. They were not ready for the cost. The god, burdened by love, did not raise a hand to destroy, did not call flame or fury. Instead, he stopped the stars. For one night, the sky refused to move. Time halted. The world blinked, and in that pause, the people saw themselves clearly. Too clearly. It was not judgment that scarred this land. It was clarity. When time resumed, nothing burned, nothing shattered, except belief. They could not face the truth reflected in divine stillness. So they left, and the crater remained, a monument not to wrath, but to restraint. You sit upon the stone, unsure if it was meant for you, but it doesn't reject you. It hums softly, like a breath beneath your spine. The wind does not enter here, but it circles above, tracing spirals in the sky as if mourning. You look up, and you see them, the stars, unmoving, just for a moment. Then they blink again and begin to turn, a gift, a reminder. Even the heavens pause for love. You leave the crater slowly, as though waking from a sleep deeper than night. Your legs remember how to move, but the rest of you lingers behind, where the stars once stood still and the truth wore silence like a crown. The dunes ahead are darker, steeper, shaped like wings mid-fold, and between them lies a narrow passage. As you pass through, the air grows dense, fragrant with desert fig and something more elusive, something like memory before it becomes dream. At the passage's end is a glade, a desert glade, not of water or shade, but of space, wide and quiet. The sand here is fine as breath, and at its center floats a shape, not a person, not a beast, not a form, but presence. It is the god, not standing, not seated, simply existing, like a thought too full to speak aloud. You don't see it with your eyes. You feel it with your skin. The air thrums. The light bends. Your breath catches. Not in fear, but in awe. This is not a god of lightning or war. This is a god of longing, of warmth folded into solitude, of storm braided with patience. The presence approaches without moving. You close your eyes, and you understand. This god does not ask to be worshipped, only to be remembered. You feel its shape, not as lines or limbs, but as sensation, the hush after a mother's lullaby, the first breeze after a drought, the pause before saying something true. This is the God you've been walking toward, but also the God who's been walking with you all this time. You step forward, not to bow, not to kneel, but simply to be near. The sand does not shift beneath your feet. The stars above do not blink. Everything is held, and in that held space, you feel something stir within you, a shape, a story, a self you had forgotten. You are not alone in your remembering, and the God, this presence braided from all that's been lost, leans closer. You hear its breath. It sounds like your own. You speak no words. There is no need. The God has always known you, and now you begin to know it too. The God lingers beside you, not above, not beyond, but beside, as if waiting for you to speak a truth you've not yet formed. You sit. There is no ceremony here, no ritual, only presence. And in that presence, something builds, slowly, gently, like light pooling at the edge of dawn. A name. It rises from within you, not one you were taught, not one you remember, but one your bones seem to know. It is not made of letters, not shaped by tongue or teeth. It is the way your chest feels when you forgive someone you loved too long. The way your fingers ache when they hold something precious for the first time. You open your mouth, and the name arrives, but you do not say it aloud. You breathe it. The God leans forward, not to hear better, to share the breath. It was never meant to be spoken, only carried, a name too sacred for language, too alive for syllables. The moment passes, and something inside you settles, like a stone placed perfectly into a stream. The current no longer fights it. It flows. The god retreats, not in distance but in intensity, fading like mist, not disappearing, but softening, as if whispering, "You know me now, and I remember you." You stand, not because it is over, but because you are ready. The sky above has changed again. The stars are softer, their light diffused like ink in water. The air smells of chamomile and ash. Peace, stirred by reverence. You turn back once. The glade is empty, but your chest is full. The name still echoes inside you, not as sound, as pulse. And as you walk, each step feels lighter. Not because the burden is gone, but because it is now shared. You do not look for a path. There is no need. The desert opens for you, as if recognizing its own. You return to the dunes, but they do not feel the same. They rise and fall like breath, familiar now, like the body of a sleeping friend. The sand no longer slips beneath your feet. It carries you. It knows your rhythm. The stars guide you, not to a destination, but to a moment. Twilight has come again. Not a second day, not a repeated night, but a liminal hush between endings and beginnings. You stop atop a gentle ridge. Below lies nothing, no shrine, no pillar, no god, only wind over empty sand. You stand there and realize you do not need to see anything. You are the witness now, the vessel, the memory made real. You close your eyes and breathe. There is no story left to find, only one to carry. The hush of the desert wraps around you. The warmth lingers, though the sun has gone. And somewhere far behind your heart, the god stirs. Not as something separate, but as something kindred. You sit down slowly. No final words, no last rituals. Just breathe. Just stillness. The dunes shift quietly. Your name, the new one, the true one, is carried by the wind. It has no letters, only a feeling, and that is enough. You close your eyes one last time. Sleep is near, not the sleep of forgetting, but the kind that remembers while you rest. The kind that heals, and as the wind moves over the quiet sand, something old exhales with you, something sacred, something that was never truly lost. Word count 1065. Wind down. You are still. The story has softened, folded into breath, carried by silence. You do not need to remember every step. The sand does that for you. Somewhere in the distance, the forgotten god watches. Not as guardian, not as judge, but as presence. Your presence. You have not been changed. You have been revealed. And what has been revealed is gentle, strong, quiet. Let the hush stay with you. Let the stars above drift slowly. Let your chest rise with peace and fall with release. You are not alone. You are not searching. You are home. Let your body rest. Let your story breathe. Let the silence sing you to sleep.